Our webinar today is going to be very interactive. So I just want to start out. I'm going to type good morning in the chat box. If you can see my message, go ahead and chat me back. While you guys are doing that, I do just want to let everybody here know that Allison James is a nationwide brokerage, which offers 100% commission, 100% support, and 0 franchise fees. Why split your commission if you don't need to? You earned it all, so shouldn't you keep it all? Our goal here at Allison James is to always give back to our agents by providing education, training sessions, live webinars, live events, and full broker support with the most up-to-date tools and technology available. We are always looking for new tools and ways to be able to provide them to our agents at a lower or discounted price so you can keep your hard-earned money. Today's webinar is sponsored by Movement Mortgage. For more information about Allison James Estates and Homes, please visit www.ajicareers.com. Let's go ahead and get started with today's topic. Like I said, today's presentation is going to be very interactive. I do appreciate everybody who is in the chat right now. Continue to use that chat throughout the presentation. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to our speaker today, Nevada broker Ron Ventura. Good morning, Ron.
Hi, good morning, Tori. Thank you very much. Hey, everybody. All right, let's just do a quick check. And, most of you see me. Everyone see me on the video? You can just drop in a yes in the chat. Make sure I've got everybody's attention. Awesome. Thank you. Okay, good. All right. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for coming today. I appreciate it. I'm excited to talk to you about something that has really been helpful to me and has made a huge impact in my business and really turned things around and put me into another level that I have never been as organized and as successful as I have been in the last 2 years of implementing some of the things I'm going to share with you. So I want you to know I'm happy to take questions throughout the call, like Tori said. So just drop any questions you have in the chat. Tori's going to help me monitor that. And then I don't mind pausing. I don't want to just talk at you guys for 45 minutes. I want to hear what you have to say. I want your input. I think that's the best way to learn. And to me, education is a two-way street. I can learn just as much from the people on this call as you might be able to learn from me. And I really believe that. And that's how I work with all the agents I work with. So a little bit about me, my background. I've been licensed 15 years, straight out of college. I grew up around the real estate business. My father is a commercial developer, and he has been for 35 years. So ever since I was little, he was always working in real estate. And all my siblings are licensed and have worked in real estate for years. I'm the youngest of 4. So it was pretty natural. I started in commercial real estate, and this was 2006 when I got in, and I had 2 great years of learning the business and doing pretty well. And then 2008 hit in the Great Recession. And that caused me to pivot to flipping houses with my family. So in 2009, I opened a residential brokerage. And it was for that sole purpose of flipping homes and just no agents under me. Wasn't trying to do that. And we flipped 19 houses in about 1.5 years. So then after that, I stuck with residential, but I did commercial and residential together from about 2010 to 2015. I increasingly focused on residential with the exception of a large student housing project that I was working on from a ground up construction that I was in charge of the plans and getting the permitting. And this is a project that is now at UNLV. It's adjacent to UNLV. So in 2015, my family sold the student housing project to a developer. And around the same time, I was recruited by Allison James to become the broker of record for Nevada. And ever since then, I've made residential real estate my main focus. I've always been a full-time agent. I've had some ups and downs and some trial and error to get to where I am now, which, like I said, is far more focused and in control of my business. So what I'm going to share today with you is some of the tools that have made a huge difference in my success. My background, I've shared with you and my wide variety of expertise because I'm happy to help anybody on this call if there's anything in my background and experience that can be of help to you. So feel free to please reach out after the webinar or anytime in the future if it's not even about the topic that we're going to cover today. I have a wide variety of experience in investments, returns, construction, development, flipping houses, and commercial and residential. And that, I would never say I'm an expert in any of it, but it has helped me have a lot of knowledge to pull from. And that has been tremendously helpful in my business. Okay, so before I begin, I want to get an idea of the experience on the call. Go ahead and drop in the chat how many years that you've been licensed. And I'll wait and just get a feel for how we're doing. All right, I see 3, 5, 6, 15, 6, 10, 18. Awesome. Awesome. Great. Oh, I love that. We've got someone that's brand new. Okay. So we're here today to talk about business planning and setting your goals for 2022. Some of my advice is going to be targeted towards experienced agents, and some of it is going to be targeted towards new agents. Some of it will be for both. I'm absolutely going to want to pull from those experienced agents on this call and get your input. And if anyone is comfortable and we can call on you, Tori will be able to turn on your mic. There's going to be some things I'll discuss that I absolutely think you guys can contribute really well to. And especially from the experienced agents passing some of that knowledge to the new agents, it's huge. And I know most of us are willing to share. At the core of what we're going to discuss today will be how to plan better at any level, how to plan your day, your week, your month, and more. We're going to dive into how to tailor a business plan to you and how to execute that plan. I'm going to spend as much time on how to execute as I'm going to talk about how to write your plan. This isn't going to be a discussion on writing business plans in the traditional sense. A lot of what I'm going to discuss, actually, I've learned from a book called 12-Week Year. Has anyone heard of the 12-week year? If you have, just write yes in the chat. I'd love to know if anybody's heard of that. Yes, awesome, James, cool. That's great. I'll do a quick screen share on that to give credit to the proper people. Hang on a second. Let me find my screen share. Here we go. Okay. Are we seeing? Bear with me, guys. I lost the chat, so I don't know. Okay, there we go. So are you guys seeing this screen up with 12-week year? Anybody? Tori?
Yes, we see it.
Okay, awesome, cool. So I'm not going to flip through this website or anything. I just wanted to point this out to you guys. So 12-Week Year is a book that was written by Brian Moran and his partner. It's a concept that I'm going to go into several of the different things in this book, but this book made a really big difference on my impact, a big impact on my career. They have a ton of resources on their website. They are like coaches and, do conventions and seminars. And, me, I just read the book. It was enough for me. But I encourage, if you like what I say and talk about today, for you to check them out. I am not affiliated with them. I am not an expert on their concepts. I've just done the best I can to grasp them and implement them into my business. So I just want to give them due credit and tell you go check them out. But by all means, am I not promoting them more than just something that's done a good job for me? So, okay, awesome. I see a few of you have heard of it. I appreciate that. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to talk about that 12-week year talks about is to forget about annualized thinking. That's the first thing you need to do to be more successful in completing your goals. So I want you to stop thinking you have 12 months to accomplish your goals. The concept of 12-week year is to set and plan to accomplish your goals in 12 weeks, not 12 months. Setting your goals and tasks no farther out than 12 weeks will keep them obtainable and it'll keep you motivated. A lot of what I'm going to talk about today is starting almost like a pyramid. We're going to take a goal at its core and we're going to break it down. We're going to break it down into manageable steps. And that is something that can keep you from feeling overwhelmed, or, in worse situations. The problem with annualized thinking, the problem with thinking right now you're going to set your goals for 2022 is it makes us all susceptible to procrastination. and over optimism. For example, in January, you're going to be motivated. By March, you might be behind a little bit on your goals, but you have most of the year left. So you believe you can do it. By July, you think, okay, I'm not really hitting even halfway to my goal, but you know what? I still have half the year. That's plenty of time. I'll just get a lot more done the rest of the year. And then this process continues. You know, there may be some people on this call that are they're amazing. They just crush their goals. They don't procrastinate. But I think that generally our human nature is to procrastinate and is to be over optimistic and think we've always plenty of time or we'll get there. And look, it's worth noting that a lot of people in sales will have their best quarter as the last quarter of the year because it's go time. It's crunch time. Another issue with thinking annually is you're not allowing yourself to be adaptive and adjust your plans as you need to quick enough. I'll get into that a little bit more later, but you want to analyze how you're doing on a weekly basis so you can make tiny little adjustments to make sure you reach your goals. All right, I want to stop here for a second and see if anyone has any questions or thoughts on what I just mentioned. If they want to drop in the chat or, you know, jump into the conversation. Is this resonating with anyone? I remember learning about this and having a sort of light bulb moment. You know, it's it doesn't mean you don't have a goal for your year overall. It doesn't mean you're not thinking 5 years out. You have to think both short term and long term. Thank you, Joy. I see this resonates with you as well. But in terms of managing your goals and being successful, there is a secret to thinking more short term and focusing on less goals and getting those accomplished. Margaret totally agrees. I appreciate that, Margaret. Okay, so let's talk about how to set your goals. Take a good look at your business. Spend the time understanding where your business comes from and how you are succeeding. And if you're new and you're just establishing your business, or if you're not doing as well as you'd like, then think about how you can improve it. So this advice I'm going to give to maybe the more experienced agents, and then we're going to tie that in for the newer agents on how to set your goals. When you're newer, you can't necessarily analyze your business the way that I recommend experienced agents do. So if you've been in the business more than 1 year, I want you to go into your MLS, pull 12 months of sales, or even 2 years if you can. If you don't have enough sales, like I said, to analyze the data, that's okay. I want to pull on some of the experienced agents here to provide examples of their goals. And then you can think about if that's something that would resonate and work with you. If your MLS doesn't provide an easy way to export your sales, which I can't imagine there is an MLS that doesn't, but being that this is a nationwide call, and I know you guys are from all over the country, it may be the case. If so, then manually enter your sales into a spreadsheet. Do whatever it takes for you to look at your sales and understand your business. And keep it simple so it gets done. I'm going to share with you guys a spreadsheet that I put together as an example, just keeping it simple. And then I will show you what I did with my own last 18 months I pulled. Just give me a moment to pull up that spreadsheet. Here we go. All right, and then heads up, Tori, I don't see the chat when I'm doing this. So this is as simple as I could make it, right? I just did 3-column table. If you had to just manually enter your sales and you looked back at your last 2 years and you did X number of sales, I want you to write that in. I want you to write your client's name, the address, and the source of business. The source of business, I'll show you an example of what I had done on my spreadsheet of what different sources of business are. But for me, it's Sphere, or it's paid leads, or it's like lead referrals, or it's an agent referral. And you can get as in-depth in this as you want. If you're very analytical and you're good with data, then go nuts. If you're just doing this to kind of get a focus, like I'm suggesting, I think it's fine to keep it simple as well. Don't ever Whenever make something so daunting, you don't do it at all. Okay, give me a moment. I'm going to pull up my spreadsheet. 18 months of history. So here's what I did. Okay, you guys can see my, yeah, it says you're screen sharing. Okay, good. All right, so here's what I did. My MLS lets me export most of these columns automatically. So I was able to pull out, and I went back 18 months. The reason I didn't do 2 years is because of COVID last year when lockdowns hit in Vegas in March. By the way, I'm mainly, my business is in Las Vegas, for everyone to know. So when that hit, I lost 5 escrows. 5 escrows got canceled, basically every single one I had. And then my pipeline just vanished overnight. And then I didn't have a closing until July. So I had about 4 months with no business. And then it still was like another 2 months after that till my business ramped back up. And that's when I did a lot of this. That's when I really dug into what am I doing? How do I do it better? What are my systems? What can I do in this kind of scary, quiet time of not sure where my next business was coming? You know, and I'm sure a lot of you felt something similar. We all have this. It's interesting how our brains retroactively will look back and be like, okay, we've had this on fire market for now a year and a half. But I'm sure a lot of you could relate to the feelings I had in March or in April or in May, that if your business stopped, you didn't know if it was going to be a month or it was going to be 6 months or it was going to be 2 years or what the hell was going on. And that's how I had felt about it. So I just dug in and I focused on my sphere last summer. And I focused on systems and plans and goal setting and some of the things I'm going to talk to you about today, like keeping track of all of that. So the reason I've set from 18 months is that's when my business ramped back up and it's going to give me a good idea. So what I did is I added a couple columns. I added source of business. I added a main and a sub column. Again, you can get as complex as you want or as simple as you want. I plan to add a couple other columns and really dive into how long from lead to close, because I think it's really telling to realize that sometimes you might be speaking to somebody for a year before they're ready to buy or sell. And it can be discouraging unless you realize like that's what I'm dealing with. I'm thinking I have to think long term. So I have gone through, I wrote in all my client names next to the addresses because the MLS didn't export my clients. And then I went through and I made my main sources would be Sphere or referral leads, referral fee leads, which is like OpCity or any kind of lending partner maybe you're with or realtor or whatever, if you just pay a percentage as opposed to paying them monthly. If you are someone that advertises on a website that you pay monthly, like Zillow or realtor.com or any various sites, then you might have that as a lead source. And then the sub source I did for my Sphere, I did differences with Sphere referrals or an agent referral, because I consider agents that I know in other states who I've built a relationship with as part of my Sphere to keep in touch with them. And when they refer me business, or agents in town that are in commercial real estate or whatever the case may be, I've tracked that as well. So then I took that and then very simply, I put that down here and I showed myself what was the main source of my business. And it wasn't a surprise to me. And I suspect it will be quite similar to most people on the call. And this is one of the things I'm going to definitely want to call on you guys. And I want to know what are some of the main sources for you and what are some of the goals that you think you will focus on to increase that part of your business. For me, you can see that 79% of my business in the last 18 months is originally from my Sphere. And then I've got 14% that was referral fee business and 7% other. The other was just like corporate relationships, a couple of deals, things like that. And then I broke it down even further so I could really see that 38% was Sphere referrals. And I'd consider that, anybody in my Sphere that then told somebody to call me or told me to call them and said, yes, I recommend Ron. 17% was people actually in my Sphere that they themselves became clients. So just keeping in contact with people. Repeat clients was 17% as well. And 10% and 3% together, Mr. Cooper is a lender that I'm a preferred agent for, and they get a 25, 35% referral fee from me. And OpCity is the same way. I closed one transaction with OpCity this year, and that makes up 30% of my business. And 14% was agent referrals, which is huge, and something that tells me to nurture that connection, keep maintaining that. I'm going to stop screen sharing for a second. I'm going to see if anybody's any questions so far, and then I'm going to continue on. So, the thing that I recommend is you take a look at your business. What program is creating this chart? Veronica asked what program. That was numbers in on a Mac, which is no different really than Excel. That was just a built-in function. So here are the questions to ask yourself. The important questions. What was my top source of business? And what actions did I take that led to that business? Now, this one's more abstract, and that's okay. Make your best guess to what you think made the difference in bringing you this business. For example, it's a referral from someone in your sphere that you reconnected with at some time, or that you call once a month, or that you send a holiday card to every year. I received a really great referral last month that I absolutely know that it was a cousin of a person that was a past client, but I know that I made the effort in the last year to reach out to that past client 4 or 5 times. And to me, it was so tangible that I really don't think that person would have told her cousin, go with Ron, if I hadn't called her every 2 months and just said hi and how are you and checked in on her and, kept in touch. I think that made her feel comfortable, because our relationship isn't so strong originally. It was just, more professionally and friendly. You might maybe one of your top sources of business is leads from your website. And so then what did it take for you to get that business? Maybe it was Facebook ads you ran on your listing or some other social media site. Or maybe it was a social media post that got you introduced to a person who then reached out 3 months later. I want you to think about the actions that you took, because those are the actions that maybe you want to be doing much more of, and you want to focus on this coming year. Ask yourself, what did I do right and I need to do more of? And maybe most importantly, ask yourself, what did I do wrong and I need to avoid? So look, the answers to those questions, they're going to help you set up the framework for some of your goals. And I say some because this won't define all of your goals. And this applies to those of you that are not able to go back and analyze your business. You're thinking, what do I do moving forward? You're new in this business, or you didn't have a ton of businesses last year. You have some goals in mind. So, for example, after analyzing my data, it's obvious that most of my business comes from my sphere. So absolutely, one of my goals is going to be connecting with my sphere more. We'll want to get more specific than that goal, but right now we're going to start with that. Now, not in my data, that's very important to me. It's a goal for me to work out regularly. Now, I know this is a business planning webinar, but you are at a disadvantage if you don't think that your mental well-being and your self-care and your physical health aren't related to your business. Okay, so now I'd like to hear from you now. Go ahead and type in the chat. Some of you have already done that. What are some of your goals? What do you, without having analyzed your data, what do you suspect is some of your goals that are going to come out of that? What are some of your goals in general? And then I would love to pull on some of the more experienced agents to help out. And if anybody wouldn't mind even jumping on their mic, because I'd like to help out the newer agents. Some of our conversation might be good goals for newer agents to set. What if sphere? What is sphere? I'm going to take an aside and answer Sam's question. So when I keep referring to sphere, sorry about that, Sam. I'm talking about my circle, my relationships, friends, family, past clients, people I've met, my network. So in my mind, my sphere of influence is where that term comes from. Sometimes it's just anyone you hit it off with. It could be a neighbor, it could be someone you met, getting your oil changed, and it could be family members even, because I don't ever assume even a family member, an uncle, a cousin is always thinking about me and is thinking that Ron needs a referral or would love more business. So by calling and keeping in touch and making sure our relationship is still strong, I know that they should feel comfortable calling on me to ask me questions or to send somebody to my way. Okay, James has got a goal of looking to expand into other markets. Nikki wants to definitely reach out to past sellers and buyers first. Veronica, I find follow-up super rewarding and is working for me. I completely agree. And if you mean like what I'm talking about, Veronica, then yes, like keeping in touch with people. Who's this? Wanted to increase, hang on, this is scrolling too fast for me. Increase my social media presence. Increase my social media conversion to 10 transactions from that lead pillar. I like that. Let's talk about that one. Is that from April? April, would you mind jumping on the mic for a minute? If Tori turns on your mic. Tara, I like your response. My goal is to gain as much experience as possible my first year as an agent, more so than making money. I know that's hard, but that is thinking long-term. Okay. April, if you are able to get on, let's talk for a second. Let's see, Tori, can you jump April on, or can I? Let's see, am I allowed to? Oh, cool. Hello.
Oh.
Hi, April.
Hi.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing good, thanks. How are you?
Good. Where are you from? What market are you in?
I'm in Northern California.
Okay, awesome. All right, so tell me your goal. Tell everyone your goal. One of your goals.
I have had some good success just late this last quarter with social media, and getting some leads actually converted from that. And I really want to put myself more into that this coming year and try to get to a point where a lot of my deals are coming to me more passively. I've done a ton of outbound expired calls and geo farming calls, and that takes a lot of work, of course.
Yeah, and a lot of energy.
Yes, ton of energy. So it'd be nice to just kind of do it a little bit more organically through social media presence.
And that's some of the success you've had. It's been organic social media posts and things like that.
Yeah. Just this last quarter, really, it's started to be pretty organic. It's been actually, honestly, community outreach. Just we had the river fire here in our area, and it was, pretty devastating. Lots of homes lost, and I created a group around that to kind of help people in the area get some relief from that. And just through that, people literally were just calling me, asking me to list their properties.
Yeah, and you did it genuinely too. It was about
yeah, it was just an added
bonus. Powerful. That's great.
Right.
That is a good thing for people to keep in mind too. For any newer agents out there, that's another way that you spread your network organically, is just getting involved in whatever that might be, whatever you're personally passionate about, or, whatever's going on in your community. That's huge.
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay. So what I'd say to you, let's talk about examples of how you could take that and set up your goals. So, you want to increase your social media conversion, and you have some tangible stuff in there. You're thinking like you'd love to see 10 transactions from that. So what we need to do is break that down a little bit, and we're going to get really nuanced, and I'll probably use your example throughout, but I won't have to call on you every time. Okay. But what we'll talk about with social media presence and trying to increase it is then you thinking about maybe how often you're posting, and maybe a more tangible way is to say to yourself, I'm going to post 4 times. I want to post 4 times a week. And then we're going to break that down even further. Maybe you want to then analyze and think about what kind of posts am I going to make? And the more preparation you can put into that, and the more tangible goal you can create and break that down into micro goals or tasks, is something that will make you more successful. Like maybe you want to post a minimum 4 times a week, and you want one post to be, personal post, and one post to be educational, and one post to be just straight real estate promotional, like, listing closed, house under contract, congratulations to my clients, I'm so happy for them.
Right.
And then maybe you want to set a goal of interacting with or reaching out directly to at least 10 people on your friends list Did you tell me what social media is it your strong suit?
I'm actually on pretty much everything. I'm pretty consistent on Facebook and Instagram, and I've just recently, in the past 6 months, started TikTok and
Good for
do
you.
Twitter, a few YouTubes, just a little bit of everything, but pretty
Yeah.
solid on Facebook and Instagram.
That's really great. That's tough to start, and that's the hardest part, just starting.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah, so those are things that you could set goals on a lot of those things. Like I have one agent on my team who has a goal of doing at least one TikTok video a week. And he's expanded on that. And that,
Right.
and so the overarching goal here for everybody to understand where I'm going with this is, sure, her overarching goal is to increase her social media presence. But if you set that as your goal of 2023 or 2022, I'm way too far out. And and that's it. You just wanted to run with it. And you said, I'm just going to spend an hour a week trying to increase my social media presence. It can be very difficult, it can be daunting to do that without any plan. Well, all right, thanks. I appreciate the input. Let me see if I'll go to some, yeah, thank you. I'll see if anybody else has anything let me flip through some of your guys' answers. How do you reconnect with others when you first start your business without sounding like a salesperson? That is a good question. I will answer that question right now for you. That's for Alejandro was asking, how do you reconnect with others when you first start your business without sounding like a salesperson? I'm happy to talk about this because I'm mentoring several new agents. And the number one thing I tell them to start out, like, listen, this is it. You write a list of everybody that you would feel okay contacting, people that you haven't even talked to maybe in years, but maybe you went to college with them. Maybe you used to work with them at another job. Maybe they're a long lost cousin. And the hardest part is to call and reconnect. But the reason that you should not be scared to sound like a salesperson, you should not think you're going to sound like a salesperson, is you are not calling them to reconnect and talk about your real estate business, and you're not calling to ask them for anything. I spoke to an agent just yesterday who said to me, like, I hate asking people for help. I don't like to ask people for anything. And I stopped her and said, that's not what you're calling people about. Think about somebody that you know that is a good friend of yours. Right now, I want you to picture someone, Alejandro, I want you to picture somebody that is someone that you like, you've been friends with for years, and maybe you don't keep in touch that often. And if I said to you, that person, can you call them once a month? I want you to put it on your to-do list that you call them once a month. I want you to ask them how they're doing. I want you to tell them how you're doing. I want you to catch up, and then I want you to do that again the next month. I suspect you'd say yes. Yeah, that's not a problem. And that's the point of what I'm saying. So some of these people you haven't talked to in a long time. So that very first call is maybe a little bit awkward, but once they understand that you're genuinely calling to just say hi and reconnect, and you want to know what's going on with them, and you want to ask how they're doing, and you want to give them an update, then they will relax and you will relax. And then the next time you call them, it will be even easier. I'm not telling you in that reconnection at any point to sound like a salesperson. You're telling them what's going on in your life because they might ask, and what's going on in your life is related to real estate. If you just got licensed, that's news, and that's genuine news you want to share. And you don't have to feel like that's why you called them. You call them to reconnect and create a network of people that can keep you in mind. If you call somebody and you say, hey, how have you been? How's everything? It's been ages since we talked. I just thought it'd be a good time to reach out. And you can have any excuse in the world. It's Christmas, it's New Year's, it's a new year. I thought it would be a great time to call people and say hi. How have you been? How's your family? How are your kids? Whatever the case may be. How's your job? And, things are going great with me. I just got licensed in real estate. I've been doing that for a little while. My family's doing good. I like, where we just moved to, whatever like news you can share. I'm talking about making genuine connections with people. I hope that helps you look past it. Some people will say you need to be more aggressive, and you need to ask for referrals. At some point, yes. At some point, that's fine. At some point, maybe. And also, if that's not you, never is just as well. Because if you are going to tell people that you are licensed, and then you're going to be friends with them and talk to them, they're going to ask you about real estate. It just happens. It happens to me all the time. I call people all the time just to say hi and see how they're doing. And then at some point they turn to me and say, how's the market? Or how have you been? I'm like, I've been really busy. Real estate's been going great. I'm so blessed, and they may want to know more. But if anything, I'm giving them that input. That's what I do. All right. So Alejandra, you can definitely message me later if that missed any points that you were looking for. Okay, I am going to, let's see, I want to see. Tammy wrote 100% of my business is from referrals. Good for you. I'd like to start working with probate in 2022. Okay, good goal. You got a good goal. Now you need a plan, right? All right, let me continue because I don't want to keep you guys too long, and I'll stay on track. Another example of setting up a goal for, let's say, take my personal goal. I know that most of my business comes from sphere referrals. So I know that I need to be better about staying in touch with my sphere. That is definitely going to be one of my goals. It might most likely be one of my goals in every 12-week plan that I make. If you remember talking about my first 12 weeks, that's what I want you guys to focus on. But I am thinking about that's probably going to be there the whole year. And then, maybe your goal would be, maybe you failed, or maybe I failed to convert as many leads as I wanted from some other, like my referral lead sources. So I might want to work on my presentation and my materials. And that could be a goal in my first 12 weeks of the year. I want you to write down all the goals you have in mind. I don't want you to worry about planning to achieve all these goals just yet. That's coming. And don't worry that you have too many goals. Okay, we'll prioritize them, and you realistically may only achieve 1 to 2 goals every 12 weeks. Again, that's how we make this obtainable, when you focus on a smaller amount of goals in a shorter period of time. So when you do sit down and spend time to do this planning, like I've been discussing, and you try to implement some things I'm talking about, brainstorm, write down all those goals, write down 10 goals, but then take the time to focus on them and prioritize, and realize, to make it not overwhelming, you try to finish and accomplish one of those goals at a time. So you're going to add other goals to the list that maybe came from analyzing your sales, maybe ones that did not come from that, like we talked about, like physical health, like some people had also chimed in and agreed on. Or for those of you that are newer, this is the stage where you write out the goals that, to the best of your ability, that you think you want. And it works to talk to other experienced agents and talk to mentors and ask your broker. There's no harm in saying to someone, like, what do you think is a good goal? What do you think would be a good thing for me to focus on, and how? All right, so let's take a moment here and let's talk about examples of goals, and let's talk about how I would simplify and break down what I did. So just like we were talking about, how would you increase your social media presence? All right, I want to contact my entire sphere regularly. That's my high goal, right? That's my headline. How am I going to do that? I want to call everyone in my sphere every 2 months. That's the sub goal. That's the way I'm breaking this down. If I want to call everyone in my sphere 2 months, and I want to be even more specific than that and create a more measurable goal, I'm going to look at what's my sphere. Again, for everybody, I'm referencing my database of people that are in my network. So I'm going to look at my database, and I'm going to say, all right, I have 300 contacts that I consider part of my sphere. These are people that I would have no issue calling. This isn't like a cold call. I want to call everyone in there 2 months, every 2 months, 300 contacts. So that's 150 a month. That's about 40 calls a week. Now I've created a weekly goal. And I'll talk about executing those weekly goals in a minute. Let's say that your goal is to increase your social media presence. Okay, so I want to increase my social media presence. I'll post a minimum 4 times a week. I want to comment, reply, and message at least 10 friends a week. That's the beginning of creating a more specific goal. So, all right, now how do we make them even more specific? We're going to talk about something that 12-week year likes to call tactics. Tactics are making the plan that will get you to achieve your goal. So think about what will work for you to accomplish your goal and set specific parameters. For example, we've established that I want to call 40 people in my sphere a week. Okay, I call that my tactic. That's my weekly goal to accomplish my overarching 12-week goal. Now I need to think a little bit deeper. How long do I need to make those calls? Maybe I expect each call to last 5 minutes on average. I also expect half the people to not answer, and I'll leave a voicemail or a text. So based on that, I think I can call 24 people in an hour. So based on my 40 people a week, I need roughly 2 hours dedicated to make this happen. So my weekly tactic will be to block out 2 hours and call 24 people. Using the social media example, the tactic would be posting a minimum 4 times a week. That's your tactic. To execute that properly, you want to build a routine and a plan of when and what to post, so it doesn't become daunting or something you miss regularly. The same with engaging in other people's posts. You may want to block out 15 minutes a day, or maybe you think you just want to do 1 hour a week to actively accomplish that goal. What I'm trying to accomplish here, what I want you to accomplish, is breaking down this process of setting a goal into smaller and smaller pieces. This has the benefit of not letting your huge goals overwhelm you, and it gives you a very direct action to take. Let's jump into the foundation of accomplishing the breakdown of these goals. Okay, so the foundation of this is planning. So now I really want to ask the group here, and I'm definitely going to want to call in somebody. So are you a planner? Okay, would you consider yourself a planner or not? All right, Hillary is a planner. Claudia is a planner. I didn't know how many planners I'd get in this. Okay, James, good for you. This is awesome. Look at you guys, most of you are planners. Okay, so for people that are planners, either by nature or you figured it out a long time ago, I'm not sure that you think it's a special skill. I'm going to call on one of you to ask you. I really am, because I assume it's not as hard for you to sit down and plan. But let me ask somebody that said they are a planner. Let's see. If you're okay to join us, would you answer us, Hillary? Would you tell me about you being a planner? And you can always type in no, and I'll let you off the hook, and I can always call on someone else. Okay, Hillary says sure.
Hillary,
Cool.
I'll let you in right now. Give you just
Awesome.
a second.
Cool. I want to know what I want to talk to a planner. Hi, Hillary.
Wonder if audio isn't working.
Or maybe talking permitted. I see that next to her name. Hillary, are you saying something and we can't hear you? Yes, she is. It's in the chat. All right, let's try. See if maybe you need to unmute your mic on your own. Oh, is she gone?
One more
Okay.
time.
Okay, trying again.
Here we go.
Okay.
Oh, I
Go
can
ahead.
kind of hear her. It's just really quiet.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Awesome.
Okay.
Hi.
Hi.
What market are you in?
I'm in Northern California in Truckee.
Oh, awesome. Okay. Yeah. So tell me what's it like for you that since you're a planner, is it come natural, something you have to work hard at?
I really enjoy planning. It's like exciting to get all my goals written down. It's the follow through. I have ADD, and so sometimes that's my biggest issue. I like getting it set up, but then remembering to
Stick to
look
it.
at my goals every day and stick to it is the problem.
Okay. The next thing I'm going to talk about after we talk about planning is keeping a score and keeping a weekly scorecard. That's going to really be helpful to you if you can stick to it.
I just created one yesterday, actually.
Oh, awesome. Good for you. Okay. So I'm intrigued what it's like to be a planner because I'm not naturally, and it's like a struggle for me. So I agree with you though, when I do it, it is exciting. When I actually will sit down and do it. And then when I put a plan together, I get pumped because I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like, I've laid it all out. It's right here. This can be done. It's accomplishable. But yeah, you're right. Then there's the struggle of staying on it and following through.
Exactly.
Yeah. So for me, I look at it like a special skill. I don't know, do you, or do you look at it like, no, it's just what I do. I'm a planner.
No, it's just what I do.
Okay.
People think I'm weird because I like to get all the nitty gritty details of everything figured out in advance. And maybe that's daunting to some people.
I think it's a power. I think it's like a special power, but it took me almost my whole life to figure it out. And look, I think a lot of people deal with ADD to minor to very serious degree. So I'm sure there's people on this call that would be helpful to realize that maybe planning is a great tool to push through that and to still get what you want done.
Yeah, I guess I have realized over the years that it helps more with my ADD to try to plan and be as structured as I can. Because otherwise, everything just kind of goes out the window.
Yeah. Well, what I'm going to do is tap Claudia, because she wants to join in on the conversation too. Oh, there she goes. And let's see what Claudia has to add about the skills of planning.
Thank you for letting me chime in.
Yeah.
So, even though I've been a realtor for 15 years, my expertise is in property management. I'm an employee as a property management. I'm a royal notary public agent, and I do all sorts of things within my business. And one of the things that I struggled in the very beginning was, it's not that I didn't want to plan, is how to plan, how to put together a plan that would make sense. And
Yeah.
a lot of us, I can consider myself a new realtor to the buy and sell, because my expertise is in property management.
Mhm.
But it's the how do you put together a plan, in this industry with real estate is where I struggle. And, I can tell you everything about property management, everything about mobile notaries, but when I sit down and I look, okay, how am I going to plan to start off my week and be able to accomplish these goals? That is, for me, is frightening. I'm not going to make it. I'm going to be a loser realtor. I'm not going to be successful, and so getting that help or some of that guidance, going on the internet and searching for guidance has been very, very hard. It hasn't been easy. So
Yeah.
that's where I'd like to talk to some of the experienced realtors like you to tell us, how do we get this started?
Yeah.
What's a good guide?
Yeah, you're right. It is daunting. I think some of the things I'm talking about today, if you, there's a hard part to this, which is getting started. But if you can stay to the core of what I'm talking about and break down what you're trying to do and then get it down to a manageable, almost like a specific individual action, that's a good starting point. Like, it's hard to realize that what I want to do is, talk to more people. And what does that take? Well, it starts with one phone call, right? And not realize, like, okay, how does that turn into business? Well, it does. Like, I've seen it. And that's hard for you to know and realize, that the phone calls you make today to somebody in your network and that you make once a month, every month, or every couple of months is business. It's just not overnight business. And it's hard to see that. And it does. I've seen the actions lead to results. And those are the lead actions that are hard to see. Like, if I don't make 30 or 40 calls a week and talk to my sphere, I know that in 6 to 9 months, my business is going to be slower. And I know that if I do, and then my business is going to booming at the end of the year. And that's something that I have seen that's tangible. That's just one little snippet for you. Obviously, you need more than that. So thank you for chiming in. I want to continue, and I want to thank Hillary and you, Claudia, as well. Thank you both. I love the input. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, of course. Okay, so and I really like April's comment that she's a planning goal setting addict. I hope that you all can get addicted to doing that. All right, so me personally, I have not been much of a planner my whole life. And so for me, and I hope this helps those of you that are not, it takes deliberate focus. It's hard. It is hard. And then for those of you that are planners, I hope you laugh at that. I really do, because my wife is a planner, and it has taken, we've been married almost 10 years. And it's like, there's been so much work in our relationship for her to help me see some of that benefit. And now she's just laughing that like, I'm like such a planner. In my mind, I really I see all the benefits. And it took a long time to evolve to a place where I realized that it was worth investing the time into planning. So look, I'll tell you right now, it's one of the keys to success. Even if you're a planner by nature, you might not be planning your next 3 months or your next 12 months. You might be setting goals, but you're not setting how you'll get there. So here's what I mean by planning how to accomplish your goals. So let's take some of my simple examples and let's continue building on that. And this, Claudia, is something I started to touch on for you, that how am I going to break down what I'm trying to do? I want to call everyone in my sphere every 2 months. Okay, we've already talked about me breaking it all the way down to a weekly call. I've established that I want to spend 2 hours calling 24 people. Okay, well, look, without planning, I still might get nervous. I might avoid doing it. Like someone else, like Alejandra had said, like, how do you do it without being a salesperson? Well, you're building it up as something complicated, or you're not going to be efficient. It might take me longer than 2 hours to do it if I don't put a plan in place. So even a basic plan is better than no plan. And an elaborate plan can be even stronger than that. But here's my basic plan when I make these calls. I'm going to write out a loose guide of what I plan to say to the people on this call. This can be as simple as 2 to 3 questions that I've already pre-written, and I have it in a document in front of me. And it's 2 and 3 questions and some points in front of me to help me spur conversation. It's not a script, it's a loose guideline. So for example, I might write, hi, Tori, how are you? I'm just calling to keep in touch. How's your, and then in brackets, I might write like personal question. How's your family? How are your kids? How's work? How was your holiday? Whatever might be really relevant at that time, because I'm really trying to create a personal conversation. These aren't cold calls. Then I might have a section like an update on me. So I'll write something out, whatever is relevant to me that I want to share recently. Like, for example, I've been doing great. Thanksgiving was a lot of fun. My wife cooked up a storm, and I ate turkey for 4 days, and I have no regrets. Absolutely do not. And it's been a really great year. I'm grateful. I'm grateful to have been so busy with work. I'm lucky. I'm glad that real estate's been good. And I'm definitely looking forward to the holidays and taking some time off if I can. And then I might have another like follow-up question to keep the conversation going. Like, do you have any special plans for the weekend, the holidays, your birthday? Like, whatever I know about this person that's relevant. Part of my plan, my basic plan would be I would also write out a text message that I would copy and paste for the people that don't answer my call. So like that way I'm efficient and I know what I'm going to do. And I put personal touches on that. I do the same thing. I have a copy and paste that's so simple. I don't like have a big sales pitch. I just write like, hey, Hillary, I just called to say, hi, how have you been? That is literally my copy and paste. I might have a second copy and paste that's like that personal update. Like, so if Hillary's like, I'm doing great, how are you? I'm ready to answer, how are you? I'm like, I'm doing great. Thanksgiving was a lot of fun, so on and so forth. I'm just, that to me is a basic plan, but that to me tells me what to do and when to do it. And then I would have a system in my database or a list in front of me or a spreadsheet, whatever you would do. I'd plan to start at the top and I'd write notes for every single contact after my calls. And I'd keep track of how many calls I made. And that's really important, by the way. Anything that you're doing here needs to be like a tangible number if you can, and you should keep track so you can feel good about how I'm accomplishing my goals. Guys, I didn't even realize I've talked so much. I'm sorry. It's 10:55. Okay. I know we have to stop at 11, right, Tori? Everybody's got plans.
Yeah,
So,
if possible.
yeah, I'll do my best. If anybody has to drop off, you can reach out to me afterwards. Tori, maybe drop my contact information in the chat.
Yep.
Okay, so let's say an example of a social media presence, like we talked about, a basic plan would be like 1 post a week that's personal, 1 post that's educational, 1 post that's real estate related. And then maybe plan out how you want to reach out to individuals in your friends list. Maybe you want to start from the top of the list and go down. Thanks, Esmeralda. And maybe you decide to go through your friends list and write down the people you want to make sure you contact. That again, it's planning. Like if you just jumped into Facebook or Instagram and you're like, I'm going to spend an hour a day, you might just be scrolling for an hour and commenting on people's feeds without purpose, versus maybe knowing like, these are the 10 people I need to reach this week. Like I need to connect. I haven't talked to this person from high school or college or my last job that recently. Okay, so what I want to do now is just do a quick recap and then talk about a scorecard. So we've discussed 1 to 2 overarching goals that you want to accomplish in 12 weeks. We broke down those goals to be more specific and measurable, and we came up with a specific tactic that we need to do weekly to get to that goal. And then we've also discussed putting together that plan that backs up those tactics and your actions that you take every week. So look, it's all about breaking down the goal into smaller and smaller actions and forming your business plan in this way. The next thing I want to discuss is maybe my favorite part, and it was the game changer for me, is your scorecard. Your scorecard is something that you will write every week and use to track how much of your weekly goals you are accomplishing. So at the end of every week, you use the scorecard to understand how well you're doing. I'm going to give you guys an example of a scorecard. I'm going to share my screen so visually you can understand. And this can look however you want it to. This is just what I happen to design. Hang on a second. There. Okay. Let me see if this shows up properly. So this is what I've done for my scorecard. I have my goal, my overarching goal, CRM, build a pipeline of referrals and repeat businesses by contacting my spheres, leads, and clients. Facebook, create awareness. And then I had some other goals. Offers was a postcard campaign I was running, like a mailer to a farm. And then I have personal things like my financials, like sticking to a budget. And I have like, quality time, physical health. Those are all my goals. You start with 1 or 2 and focus on that, because it took me time to build up to 6. I started with 1 or 2. And even that's can be hard. And then what I do, the core of this is, I might say, like I mentioned, in my sphere, my CRM goal, text or email 30 people that week or make calls. And then what I've done is, this is trackable to me because of the number. So if I'm telling you you want to make 10 calls this week and you only make 5, then I want you to write in your scorecard that Monday you did 50% of your goal. And maybe you did 25% more the next day, and maybe you didn't finish at the end of the week. And so maybe your whole score, like in my case here, like I wanted to make calls, I got to 50% of my calls. I'm scoring myself this way. On my other active and client calls, I got to 100%. And look, I missed, let me see, like I did some of my Facebook posts, but I didn't post in some of my private groups. So my score is here. And here's how I end up tallying it is I take the total percentage, and I could provide you guys something like this if you wanted, like a spreadsheet example, or you can make your own. So this is my total score. It's 44%. So it wasn't great. I didn't execute it at the highest level that I wanted to. But the key is to see improvement. The key is not to be demoralized or demotivated because I maybe executed 20 or 30 or 40%. It's, did I improve? And did I look at what I did every single day? And at the end of that week, it's to analyze how you did and how you could improve. So what I do is I ask myself some certain questions like, what did I fail at? And then what were the lessons I learned and ways to improve it? So, what you can see from my scorecard, this was back in September as an example I'm showing you, but then the next month I got 47%, and it just made me feel like I was at least on an upward trajectory. And I analyzed myself a little bit and said, all right, I felt a more productive week. I felt focused and control. However, my score is still less than satisfactory. I've puzzled over it a little bit. And then my lessons were strategic goals need to be a higher priority. I need to be putting them before other tasks, and I tried some things like maybe making sure I do them earlier in the day. And then the next week I got to 60%. I felt really good. And I have dropped and I've gone up and I've gone down and so forth. And that's okay. So what I want to tell you guys is that the 12-week year talks about executing at 80% or higher. You are going to reach a very high level of success if you can execute your goals at that high. Now, that doesn't mean stop it once you hit 80%. You should try to get to 90 to 100% on your scorecard of these goals. And if you're hitting 100% weekly, then you need more goals and you need to be pushing harder. And that's what it means to drive you. So, Tori, you told me it was a hard stop at 11. Can I keep going?
Yeah, keep on going. You're good.
Okay. All right, guys. I will try to keep it concise. If anybody has any appointments, I'm sorry. And I absolutely respect you having to drop off, and you can keep in touch. All right. So the reason that we came down with these breakdowns of very specific, tangible goals, like we talked about, like even putting numbers on your goals, like how many times are you going to post a week? How many TikTok videos are you putting out? Is because I want you to be able to score it. Weekly tactics are scoreable. And the reason you need to score it is it's too abstract and immeasurable to just have a tactic of, calling people in your sphere. I have no way to score that and know I'm doing a good job. Is 10 really good, or is 100 really good that week? Or, 5 posts that week really good, or, 100 posts on Facebook, probably not good. Don't do that. And then the key is the critical analysis questions. So look, every day you score yourself and you check how you're doing. You check how you're doing so you know what to prepare for the coming days and the week. Do I have a lot more I've got to pick up? Do I, am I going to have to like do a lot more tomorrow? Am I way behind? And at the end of the week, you total your score, and now you've got a measurable understanding of how you executed. Some of the benefits of doing this. If you just looked at your goals once a month, once a year, every 6 months, you can't be nimble. You can't change your plan quick enough. When I look at my week sometimes, at the beginning of the week, I'm very optimistic. I think I'm going to call 50 people this week. And then it doesn't happen. I called 5. And then I look back and I think about why. Maybe I didn't set a specific time I would call. Maybe that's on me. I just said, I'm going to do it this week. And I didn't tell myself Tuesday at 9 a.m. I'm going to make calls. Maybe next week I need to schedule that. Or maybe I took a buyer out on Monday and I didn't account for the fact that that would lead to negotiating offers on Tuesday and opening escrow and scheduling inspections on Wednesday. And then all of a sudden my week I'm behind and I thought I was going to make a bunch of calls, but I was out negotiating and getting a deal in escrow. There's no reason I'm going to be upset that I was doing a good thing and getting properties under escrow, but I am always pushing to not leave my strategic goals behind. Because I could be so busy all week and have a bunch of deals and think like, well, no one would complain. I've closed 3 deals this week, so I had no time to make calls. But I'm fully aware that if I don't ever spend the time towards my goals, whatever your goals are, then you're never going to get to your goals. So that's an example of my scorecards and such. Does anybody have any input or questions or anything they want to ask me at this point? Okay. There's a power in tracking and keeping score. This also creates a way to be accountable. Let's talk about that word, accountability. Accountability is often defined incorrectly. It's often used externally, like another party holding you accountable or a boss holding you accountable. In reality, the best use of accountability is in taking ownership. It's owning your strengths and your weaknesses. It's owning your mistakes. It's taking responsibility for how you are doing. The 12-week year refers to the best way to be accountable. It's a weekly accountability meeting. They call this a WAM. The best way to have these meetings is to partner up with other people on your team or other colleagues, other agents. It can even be other industries. Even if you want to get involved with somebody on this call, we're going to send out a sign-up sheet and you can drop in your email and I'll pair people up on this call. And you can have people across the country be 2 to 3 people in a group, help you be accountable. You could set up a Zoom call weekly and do this. So look, these meetings, they don't have to be long. They should be 15 minutes. They're groups of 2 to 3 people. And then each person shares their week's goals and their weekly scorecard. You talk about how you did and you share your analysis of yourself, because accountability is about self-ownership. It's not about the other people on this call motivating or criticizing you. It's not about them saying, you've got this, you can do better. What it's about is when you know you have to meet with someone and you go over what you've done, then you're going to complete the task of tracking your score and you're going to analyze your work. It's like having a workout partner as an accountability partner, right? You could have someone across the country be your accountability workout buddy, because if they called you every single morning to say, hey, did you work out today? You're going to work out just because you don't want to have to say no. Because if you have to answer that call and say no after enough days, you're like, I am not saying no to this person one more time. And it's not that they care that you did work out or didn't. It's not they're going to be upset with you. So that's the difference, I think, between doing this yourself. It takes a lot to be honest with yourself and own up to how you did. It's very easy to know you had a bad week and then decide internally, I'm just not going to track it this week. I didn't do it on Monday. I didn't do it on Tuesday. I haven't made any calls. I didn't do any posts. I didn't, door knock. I'll just start fresh next week. If you do that, then you're not spending the time to critically analyze your week and you're not asking yourself, what did I do wrong and why? There's nothing wrong with falling short on your scorecard. What's wrong is not being accountable. If you're hiding from your shortcomings, then you're not going to have an opportunity to improve and adjust. Like I've had many weeks like that. I've had many weeks where I've been busy and they've been good excuses. I'm not going to get better by hiding from that. I'm not going to get better by hiding from my low scorecard. I need to own that And I need to feel what that feels like. So it motivates me and it drives me to be better the next week. And I need to think why so I can adjust weekly. So, okay, Tori dropped in a link for, if you want to sign up and if you're interested in finding people on this call to do a weekly accountability meeting. I'm happy to help in any way. I could jump into like the first meeting that 2 or 3 people do and give some feedback. Do this with people on your team or anyone. If anything I've said that connects with you, then share that with people and work on that. All right, in conclusion, I'm going to recap what we've discussed and then we can wrap. We talked about forgetting annualized thinking. Try setting your goals in 12-week periods. Analyze your business using data, using mentors, read books, think about your strengths and how you can leverage them. Write down all your goals. Then prioritize and focus on 1 to 2 at a time. Write more specific, measurable goals, and then come up with weekly tactics to accomplish these goals. You want to write a plan on how to execute and combine those tactics over the 12 weeks. You want to keep score, use that every week, and then partner up with a peer and have accountability meetings. Look, if you're doing more than 24 transactions a year or your personal life is so busy, I understand that you feel like you don't have time for this. I get it. I didn't have time for this. For years, I didn't plan and my business was like a yo-yo. And some months it was fantastic and some months it was terrible. You're also limiting your ability to grow powerfully. So you need to make time for planning your business. Just like you need to make time for getting and nurturing new business, or your business will have peaks and valleys as well. If you can integrate even a part of what I discussed today, you'll see improvement in your productivity and in your business. If you can implement everything I've discussed today together, I am confident that you're going to see amazing results and growth. So again, I recommend you check out 12-week year. You can expand even further into these methods. And there's other things I didn't cover. And listen, it's never too late to start planning your business. And you can start at any time. The things I discussed, they may not connect right away with you. Okay, you might need to process this and take time. It took me time. But the beauty of thinking in 12-week increments is that you don't have to wait until 2023 to make your plan. If you start late and you don't work on your business plan until February, you're still going to be more focused, more productive, and better off than if you did no plan at all. The last thing I'm going to leave you guys with is something that I have written on my wall that I tell myself all the time. Time invested in a plan is never time wasted. That's all I've got for you guys. So thank you very much for the extra time. My contact information, again, it's in the chat. You can find me through the app and Allison James. You can find me online. If anybody needs any help or anything, please feel free to reach out. And then I think Tori's going to email out a link for the accountability. And then if anybody wants some of the documents I pulled up, then you could email me as well, and I'll put together an email list and I'll send out my template for, analyzing your sales, which was really quite simple, but also the scorecard and, anything else. Okay. Guys, thank you so much. I hope that you appreciate it and you got something out of this.
Thank you so much, Ron. Ron's contact information was pushed to the top of the chat, so I went ahead and threw it in there again. As Ron mentioned, I will make sure an email is sent out to everyone with the link for the accountability partner. Thank you to everyone for joining us. Thank you to the people who also volunteered to jump in and talk, April, Hillary, Claudia. That was really fun. And of course, a huge thank you to Ron for hosting this month's webinar and giving us great presentation and great insight. We'll definitely have you back, Ron. That was
Thank you.
Great.
All right, thanks everyone.
I hope everyone has a great day. Have happy holidays and a happy new year. And we will see you all next year on our next national webinar. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.